Good morning, students. It's Mrs. Kandar here. I'm going to go over your assignment from yesterday and give you some of the answers that hopefully you have gotten. Remember, what we're trying to do in Lesson 6 is we're trying to figure out what is a healthy number of orangutans to have in an area, okay? So that's what we're trying to figure out. So if you don't have an answer for the first one, it's totally fine. Just put down what you think is a healthy amount of numbers to have, like maybe how many orangutans in a square kilometer is healthy. 1, 2, 3. What do you think is a healthy one? I don't expect you to have an answer for that. It's just something to get you engaged and start thinking. The next section is the explore part, which is what you were supposed to do yesterday using this link. So we're going to click on this tiny URL and go to the story map. And I'm just going to quickly go over the story map. I think most of you have already gone through it. Over here, the green represents the protected areas in Indonesia, where specifically, so Indonesia is made up of all these islands right here, and this one here. So what we're going to look at is Borneo, which is here, and this is Sumatra, northern Sumatra, okay? So the green represents protected areas in these islands. How are the orangutans distributed is that they are represented by the pink color here, and we can see these are the locations that orangutans are at. And we're going to look at the orangutans in the protected areas. So the protected areas are represented by the brown, okay? So it's all of these areas where it is an overlap between where the orangutan lives and the protected area. So remember, protected areas were in green, where they were living was in pink, and the brown area is where that pink and green meet. And these are the protected areas for orangutan that the government has said, okay, these are protected. We can't go in here and do stuff, okay? Like, you know, planting palm oil or hunting or anything like that. It's protected. And what you're supposed to do is look at 4 different locations. The first one is pinned here, and that's Lusur. The next one is Gunung Palung, and it's this one. The next one is this pin here, and that is Kutai. And the next one is Tabin. Okay, so these are the 4 locations we're going to look at. One is in northern Sumatra. So let's take a look at our first question. It says, which area had the largest population of orangutans and which had the least? Well, the largest area was Lusur. It had the most. How do we know that? Well, when you go here and you click on Lusur, you get a graph here. And you can totally see, like in 1993, it was 12,000. Then in different dates, it varied. So it was various different populations during each year. Okay. Now, Gunung Palung, we want to see how much was their population, and you can totally see that the highest they had was 2,800, right? So far, Lusur is still, it had the most, if we were to just look at one of the dates, okay? Moving on to Kutai, and I'm going to zoom out just to see where Kutai is in relation to the other 2 that we saw. So here's Kutai, and here's Gunung Palung. And if I move the map here, this is Lusur, right? Okay, so let's take a look at Kutai's population, which is right here. Look, about 600, right? And then we look at Tabin, which is way in this corner here, is the highest was 12,085. Sorry, 1,285. Okay, so the answer clearly is which area had the largest population? Well, after comparing all that, we saw that Lusur had the most. What was the approximate population size or number of orangutans in each area? They're asking for an approximate. So even though we had different times during the, different years had different populations, they kind of want to know approximately how much. So it's different in each area. Gunung Palung was around 2,500. Kutai was around 600. Tabin was around 1,300, and Lusur varied a lot between 4,700 and 12,000, right? There was no calculations involved. Here you were to just go here and kind of give an approximation, right? So this is 12,000, 14,000, I'm sorry, 1,200, 1,400. So somewhere in between that, I said, was the Tabin's population, right? Then I looked at Kutai, well, approximately 600. It's no change. And then you look at this one and you go, okay, it was 2,800, then it was 2,500. So I'm going to kind of estimate somewhere in between that, right? So I said around, 1,300 for a tabby, right? And then so on and so forth. And then I said the last one, looser, was approximately between 4,700, and here's looser. 4,700 between this and this, because you can see these two numbers fall between these, right? Or it's a little bit higher, but kind of wanted approximation. I'm not looking for the exact answer. And then the third one says, why do you think the population of orangutans is in an area didn't always remain the same? Why do you think that is? Why wasn't it always the same? I mean, don't look too much into it. It's pretty simple. Well, it depends. Maybe, it depends on their lifespan. Maybe they have shorter lifespan. They live longer or some other years. So, and then, they're born and then they die. So the population changes. It's not always going to be, you're going to have 600 this year, 600 again, 600 again. There are different factors going on, right? And the last question says, why do you think some areas have large populations of orangutans than others? Why would one area have a lot more orangutans than other areas? I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. I'm looking to see what you wrote, but in my head, the first thing that comes in is, well, maybe because bigger areas can have more orangutans there, right? More orangutans live in areas that have more surface area. So I'm going to just write that maybe the bigger the area, the more orangutans live. Okay, that's all you had to do here. Really quick, go through that. And then the explain part, there's nothing for you to do. See, it's blank. It doesn't say your task. It's just blank. So I am now explaining. Remember, explaining is my part. I'm kind of explaining what you figured out here. And here's what we figured out. We can think about the number of organisms in an area as a population. So population is the new vocabulary. Population is number of organisms in a specific place, okay, in a specific area. So we can think about the number of organisms in an area as a population, and also population can vary over time. One year it could be a lot, next year it could be a little less. The year after that could be kind of medium. So population changes, okay? And the third thing that hopefully we realized with this explore activity is populations seem to be larger in areas with more space. Okay, that's what we kind of gathered based on our explore, okay? So now we want to calculate, in the next video, we want to calculate the space one orangutan needs. And that's going to be on the next video.